Hello and welcome back to my crappy Majora's Mask series. Last time we journeyed through the poisoned swamps of Woodfall, as well as took care of a bunch of minor side quests, and today we move on to the snowy mountains of Snowhead to try to free the next of the four giants. Overall, Snowhead is probably the most memorable place in the game for me. It does a good job of making it feel cold, rather than cheery and Christmassy like so many other winter areas in video games. The choice of music, the atmosphere, and the dialogue of people being cold all help make the player feel cold too. Well, at least for me, because I live in the American Midwest where it can get below zero in April, which sucks a lot. Like seriously, the last week it got down to below zero. The first area of Snowhead is a mountain village, which has a blacksmith shop. Later they can upgrade your sword, but for now their hearth is frozen. I've got to say though, the atmosphere in here is amazing. I don't know why, but it feels so cozy. Also, that giant sword on the wall looks so freaking cool, and I want it. I want it so bad. Also, while we're at, why is that sword even that big actually, now that I think about it? That's a big sword. I still want it though. Further up the mountain is Goron Village. Thinking about it now, why are Gorons living in a place like this where it can freeze? Aren't they supposed to like to live in really hot places like volcanoes? Well, this cold winter sucks for the Gorons. The owl who taught Link the Song of Soaring from earlier, and whose name I can't pronounce, seems to remember him despite his travels through time, meaning he could be a mysterious deity trying to help Link, which I always thought was cool. Here he helps by dropping feathers on invisible platforms, leading to a cave with the Lens of Truth. Just like in Ocarina of Time, the Lens of Truth reveals secrets invisible to the naked eye, such as a Goron ghost leading you to his grave. This part spooked me when I was younger. The ghost is the spirit of the Goron hero, Darmani, who died trying to save his people. He wants Link to use his magic to bring him back to life, or at least soothe his soul and ease his worries. The Song of Healing is all Link has to offer though, yet it works, soothing Darmani's soul. His body is morphed into a mask, and wearing it transforms you into a Goron. As a Goron, you have immense strength and can move around super fast with a roll attack. A spiked roll attack can be done with a little magic as well as the Goron Pound, which is sort of like the hammer from Ocarina of Time. Back in Goron Village, the elder son is crying, wanting his father. His father though is frozen, and even after being thawed from hot springs water from Darmani's grave, he's still too fatigued to go back home. He teaches you the first part of the Goron's lullaby. If you return to Goron Village and play it to his son, he'll teach you the second part of the Goron's lullaby. And you can use it to put this giant Goron to sleep and open the path to Snowhead Temple. Before we tackle that though, there's one side quest that needs taking care of. In the village is a chandelier. And in that chandelier is a rock sirloin. How it got there, I have no clue. But you can take it to this freezing Goron on a ledge, and then he gives you the Don Gero's mask. Finally, onto the temple itself. The path there is kind of tricky since you have to Goron roll up there. Rolling up this winding path is especially hard, only you can just walk up there. Yeah, I wish I knew that when I was younger. Snowhead Temple is overall my favorite in the game. Well, one of my favorites. Actually, isn't my... Oh yeah, it is my favorite. I got that mixed up for a minute. Never mind. It is actually... Okay, there's one more that I like more, but we'll get into that later, and I kind of... there's some things about that temple that I don't like so much, so I guess overall Snowhead I have the most fun with. It's less basic than Woodfall, well, not too overly complex like the following temples. The puzzles have to do with climbing up higher and higher, while destroying certain blocks to be able to pass certain sections. It's easy to backtrack to other rooms, the mini-bosses are fun, and the layout is great. The dungeon item for Snowhead is what we've needed this whole time in this whole winter area. Fire arrows. Once you get these, don't worry too much about running out of time, since you can skip half the dungeon on subsequent playthroughs by melting the ice on certain doors with it. Unless you want to get all the stray fairies, which I'd recommend getting since collecting them doubles your magic meter. I would highly recommend doing this. The game isn't that much harder if you don't, but it's so much more convenient and easier if you do. Overall, I love Snowhead. I had a lot of fun here. It's a fun temple to figure out. to me at least, because others rank this as one of the worst dungeons in the series, so I guess take my word for it with a bit of salt. The boss, I will admit, I'm not too crazy for. I don't exactly hate the fight or anything, it's just pretty meh for me. You spike roll into him while avoiding lightning, bombs, and other things that slow you down, but it drags on and on. The lightning is hard to avoid when the camera angle goes haywire, and it feels more like a mini boss than a stage boss. Thankfully, God isn't hard, and with his defeat, the second giant is freed, and spring comes to Snowhead. Now, time for everyone's least favorite part of the video. I don't know, maybe favorite part. Side quest time. Well, one thing you kind of have to do before resetting time, or you have to do, I don't know why I say kind of, is you have to talk to this giant Goron and get a powder keg. It's a massive bomb that can destroy massive boulders. However, to get a permit to carry them, the player has to carry the powder keg through the valley to the racetrack. It's a little tricky, you have to be quick and you can't let the keg get touched by enemies or it explodes and you have to start all over. But not too bad overall. After that, that's all that's required to do. The rest of this video will just be about optional side quests. The first and most important of which is upgrading the Kokiri sword to the Gilded sword. To do this, make sure to drop off your sword at the blacksmiths on the first day, which might mean you have to reset time once. Well, one thing that's kind of unique about Majora's Mask is if you re-enter a temple, you can refight the boss. So go back to the first day, refight the boss, spring comes to Snowhead, then drop your sword off on the first day, and then you have to make sure to go to the Goron Races. Now, these Goron Races are... I really don't like the Goron Races that much. Well, first off, to start off, you'd have to go back to Clocktown into the bomb shop and buy a powder keg and then blow up the racetrack again. The race is actually semi-tough though, mostly because of the rubber band AI, making computer players faster depending on how far ahead the player is. But after winning, the Elder Sun rewards you with a new bottle of gold dust, which can be used at the second day at the blacksmiths to upgrade your sword to the Gilded sword. The whole part isn't exactly required, yet is a good idea to do since once you upgrade it, it's as strong as the Master Sword. How this blacksmith managed to do that, I have no idea, but I like him. Also, he wanted to give Flink free coffee, so yeah, I like him. Just wish he'd put on some better clothes. I want to see his freaking armpits. Other than that, most of the other side quests I did were just to get pieces of heart, which aren't noteworthy enough to mention except for this one with the postman. He'll give you a piece of heart if you stop in an invisible time run exactly 10 seconds. I somehow managed to get it spot on though, which is something I'll look back on with pride for the rest of my life. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope the audio wasn't too bad. I hope you can't hear those cars. Hope me slurring my speech because I just ran 3 miles. Or didn't run, I walked 3 miles and I'm sweaty as heck. Hope this video is gonna be decent. And I'll see you all next time, where we won't be going to the next land quite yet, but we'll be exploring a certain ranch. Until then, everyone,